I will just introduce Danna Mehtar. She's going to be doing a presentation on eight-legged defenders, specifically a certain spider, but I'll let her tell you what that's all about. I'm Stacy with OC Habitats. We thank you so much for coming today. And this is our coffee and conservation. We hope that we appreciate you guys coming. We hope that you'll be interactive with us. We have lots of questions and discussion we'd love to share with you. As we mentioned, we are recording and we are going to put this on our website. So we'd like you to turn your cameras off and your microphones off at this time. We will have an opportunity for you to unmute to discuss. Also, we'll be asking you to put questions and discussion in the chat, as well as annotate some things. So I'm going to hand it over to Danna.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Eight-Legged Defenders. I am Danna Mehtar. I'm an intern here at OCH. I'm at my last semester in college at University of California, Fullerton. I'm going into biology. I am very excited to share with you what I know about these particular spiders. So please grab a cup of coffee, tea, sit back, relax, and let's get started. So what can you guys tell me? How do you guys define a spider? You guys can unmute yourself or put it in the chat if you would like. How would you particularly describe or define a spider? Eight legs, very good. Furry and eight legs, that's a good one too. A lot of you guys saying eight legs, good one. So yeah, spiders are arachnids. So that is completely different than a bug. Spiders are actually not technically a bug. A bug is technically an insect, and an insect has 3 body parts and 6 legs. While arachnids, they have 8 legs, 2 body segments. They have the cephalothorax right here, which is basically a fused head and chest. And then they have the abdomen right here. They have an exoskeleton and jointed appendages. You can see here that these appendages all have little joints to them. All 8 of their legs have that. They have no jaw, so instead they have these pedipalps and the cephalorae right here that kind of act like they're jaws, but they're not jaws. These pedipalps are actually a sensory organ, and they are counted as a secondary appendage. Now, arachnids also normally inject digestive fluids into their prey. So that's how you would describe an arachnid in general. And an arachnid is not just a spider. There's scorpions, ticks, mites, and all that as well. So how many species of spiders do you think there are worldwide? Any guesses? You can also unmute yourself and put it in the chat. 150, good guess. So there are actually more than 45,000 species of spider worldwide. And when I saw that, that's the face I had. We will actually be talking about the Orb Weaver spider today. Out of those 45,000, we're going to talk about a small species of spider that you will actually see quite a lot here in Orange County. So Orb Weavers, their scientific name is Arachnidae, not Arachnidae, but Arachnidae. They look quite dangerous. They're a broad species of spider. They have so many different looks and very diverse, but they're not dangerous. They are found all around the world, in every country, in every state, in every city. They are diurnal species. They have brighter colors. Diurnal meaning that opposite of nocturnal. So they're awake in the day and they sleep at night. Those ones tend to have a brighter markings like this one here, or this one. Nocturnal orb weavers are usually brown or gray in color, and you can see that right here, just so they can blend in the night, or here. Some orb weavers have a spiny, smooth, or irregular shaped abdomen, so you can see the spiny ones right here, or here. The smooth ones more looking like this one. And then the irregular shaped ones like this, or a square like this. They also have hairy legs or spiny legs, and are relatively, their abdomen is much larger than their cephalothorax. So you can see that their abdomen is so much bigger than their little head here. Typically, they are the ones that are responsible for their typical spiral web the webs that you see in Halloween, these guys are the ones that typically make the circled webs. And you also, the males are much smaller than the females, and we'll go dive deeper into that in the later slides. So I would like you guys, if you'd be willing to kind of annotate on this little picture here, if you're willing to, and see if you guys can distinguish the body parts that make up the arachnid and what makes this one unique. Which one do you guys think this one is? Is this a diurnal or is it a nocturnal? You have one hanging out in your front yard, that's great. They're everywhere and they're really docile, so that's a good one. Yes, so this one's a nocturnal one. It's more brownish in color. It doesn't have many bright colors. It's white with just pretty earthy toned colors. So it is nocturnal. Very good, Jenna and Stacy. So here you can see that this has the segmented legs right there and there. All the legs are segmented and they have 8. Here's its cephalothorax right here, which is the head and the chest, and then the abdomen. And the abdomen is relatively a lot larger than its cephalothorax right here. And if you could see these tiny little leg-looking things right there, that's the pedipalps. That's the sensory organs right there. Very good. So now we're going to be talking about Orb Weaver webs. They are they're all the time circular gridded webs. They construct organized webs and are similar in shape to the webs that we always see at Halloween. As you can see, this one is a perfect circle here. It gets some broken here when things get trapped in it, but when it's brand new, it's a perfect circular web. Sometimes they're made of strands of silk, and as you can see, these ones, the lines here and the space margins between them are a lot thinner. So this one was a lot more particular in its circle. So they're made of radial strands of silk that look like spools of a wheel, with the spokes connected by numerous circular silk strands. So all of these spokes are connected by numerous silk strands right here that run down. They can also be very large. So an orb weaver a garden orb weaver spider is very large in general, this guy, and they can have their webs measure up to 3 feet in diameter. So that's 3 feet all the way around. And they could be as small as a few centimeters as well. So you can find one with a male orb weaver, be very, very small, but these ones can also be very large. So which one do you think is an orb weaver's spider or orb weaver web right here out of these 3, A, B, or C? Now you guys can unmute, you guys can annotate, and you guys can also chat. Felicia says B, 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 B. Very good, you guys, it's B. Good job. So this one here to the left, this is a black widow's spider. This is a black widow's web, and they are normally found near the ground level or under protected ledges, like under your lawn chairs or wood piles, or just a protected area where it's underneath it. This here is a funnel spider web. The funnel spider webs are located in moist, cool, sheltered habitats. So they're like under rocks, under rotting logs, rot and just buried in holes and where tree barks are. They are normally found in Australia. We don't normally find funnel spiders, especially of this size, here in California, let alone the United States. Now we're going to dive into the behavior. One of the most myths that you can find about these spiders, because they look dangerous, is that they are dangerous, but they are not. They are very docile and a very non-aggressive species. They're actually one of the most docile species you'll find in the spider species. They are scared of human. At first sight of threat, they will actually not try to bite or be aggressive, or they won't even really warn. They will just simply run away or drop off their web. If you find a spider on the web and all of a sudden it's gone, it's because it dropped off to try to run away from you. They do hang upside down in their webs with their heads facing towards the ground. This is observed in the natural habitats of these orb weavers and is usually seen like this. This has actually been proven that the spiders who hang upside down reach their prey a lot quicker than the spiders who face right side up. So that's one of the reasons why they do this. They repair their webs at night. So typically they will build and do repair work at night This is mostly the nocturnal ones. And again, for the diurnal ones, they do trade sometimes. They make maybe about 2 webs a day. So one's at night and then one in the morning. And we'll dive to the one in the morning in a little bit. And they consume their webs. So orb weaver spiders tear down and even consume their webs in the morning when the morning begins to dawn. And it's actually to take in water and moisture from the dewdrops that lay on their webs. So they'll eat their webs, drink the water on it, and they'll make a whole new one in the morning. And they make a new one in the morning because throughout the night, sometimes bugs can get trapped in it or bigger things get trapped in it. So they'll just tear it down and make a new one. They like to typically do it twice a day, and they can make them relatively fast. It depends on the size of the spider and how urgent it is for it. So the time does vary, but it could typically take between 1 to 2 minutes. They like to stay around their webs. So these guys are not hunters and they're not wanderers. And this pretty much means that they sit near their webs and wait for their prey. You won't always find them on their webs, but if they're not on it, you can definitely be assured that they are around it. When the spider moves off the web, it will remain nearby and hidden in a protected site, such as a rolled up plant, leaf, twigs, whatever it can find. It can even roll up in the side in the corner of the ceiling. It's not normally inside a house, so that would be like in a barn. These spiders remain aware of prey all the time. They will have a little web attached to one of their appendages. And if a predator or prey will go onto their web, they could feel it with a little appendage. And believe it or not, they can actually tell the size with that. So if it is something that's too big for them to consume, they will leave it alone. They either let it go, wait for it to leave, and they won't show themselves. Now, if it is something that they like to consume, then that's when they'll run up to it, they'll wrap it up, and then start its feeding process. Orb weavers tend to inhabit locations that are abundant in prey and structure, and that's a place that can support their webs. And this includes places like night lights, like the street lights outside. It can be tree branches, tall grass, weeds, fences, walls. It does typically like our gardens because our gardens have a lot of insects for them. So they like that. Males do choose the females. We don't normally find this in the animal kingdom, even in the insect kingdom. A lot of the times the females will choose the males. But in the orb weaver's case, the male does choose the female. And if he finds a female that he likes, he'll go to her abdomen and he'll take his front appendages and he'll rub it, like giving a little belly rub. And when he gives that little belly rub, the female knows like, oh, he likes me. The females will sometimes eat the males after mating. This is not always the case for orb weavers. It is the case for a lot of the spiders and some orb weavers, but not all of them. After mating, the female orb weavers will wrap her egg sac in a mass of golden silk. Golden silk particular to the golden orb weaver, which is this guy right here. And they keep it hidden. So they keep it as a foliage. They keep it hidden up in a place, and it's massive, as you can see. And it's curled up, and they curl it up that looks like a kind of like a brown leaf here, or like a twig, because they are normally around plants. So they try to hide it. Any questions so far? You guys can unmute yourselves, put it in the chat. Can webs be made of something other than silk? For the orb weavers, no. The orb weavers' webs are made strictly with silk. Other spiders like funnel spiders or black widow spiders, it's still a type of silk. It is not the same consistency. They do have other proteins with it, but for these orb weavers, it's just silk. How many baby spiders are in the egg? You will find about 600 to 700 baby spiders in an orb weaver's egg. It's a lot. Imagine that thing hatching. Any other questions? Alrighty then, we will go ahead and move on. We're going to actually talk about species now. I'm going to we have another question. Do we know how high their mortality is? So it will change with every species. Some species will be quicker and others will not. So it just depends on their age. For the bigger ones, like we're going to talk about which ones are the bigger ones, they do live longer than the smaller ones. And with the babies that live, they actually, I mean, it's a good over half of them that live. So over half of the 600 to 700 live. I just want to say the males rubbing the female's belly to show affection. So I know, it is adorable, isn't it? Isn't that nice? We would all like that once in a while. All right, so we're gonna move on to the species. This is the black and yellow Argio. You could see that they have the silver and gray or plum colored bodies. Their bodies right here are plum colored or silver and gray. They have yellow banded legs. So on these legs, you'll see each of them. This one's more of an orange coppery color. That you can indicate that's a little bit older. This one here is a little bit more yellow. This one's a bit about mid-age. And then this one here, which these two are different, by the way. And this one here, you can see it's a little bit more faded as well. This means it's a little bit older. These guys can be 2 to 4 centimeters in body length. They can also be pretty dang big over here, as you can tell. They could be about 2 inches as well. So they go from 2 to 4 centimeters to about 2 to 3 inches. And their leg span is a lot larger than that. So their leg span is also going to be, it's about 1.5 size of their abdomen and cephalothorax. The black and yellow Argio is one of the most colorful of the Orb Weaver spiders that you'll find in your gardens. And this is very common. And it's also one of the bigger groups. The next one we'll be talking about is the silver Argio. The silver Argio is silver colored in the cephalothorax. Cephalothorax meaning the head and chest right here. Their abdomen is bumpy with orange, yellow, and black stripes. So their abdomen has these little bumps right here, and they're typically orange, yellow, and black. Females are a lot larger than the males, as every Orb Weaver species, but I depicted it in this picture here. You can see the female right there, and this is the male. They look nothing alike. And if you look closely, you can see the male right here giving this female a belly rub. He's laying right on top of her. These guys have extremely large legs. They're half silver and half black. So you'll always see the half silver and half black with the white bands. They are typically smaller than the yellow and black Argio, but they're pretty decent size as well. So they could still go to about 1 inch in body length. The next one is the Western Spotted Orb Weaver. So the Western Spotted Orb Weaver, they have large black and dark gray abdomen with numerous small cream colored spots. So you can see the little cream colored spots on here. And these look so different, but they are the same species. So these ones are much more diverse in their species. They have a longitudinal cream colored yellow stripe with a wavy border that runs down their abdomen right here. That's how you can tell them apart. This is the underside of her, but the top side, they will always have that yellow cream colored line that goes right down their abdomen. The legs of the Western Spotted Orb Weaver are spiny and hairy, so they could be both. They could be like this one here will have a much more hairier leg, but this one here will have a more spinier leg. And that's just because of genes. It has nothing to do with anything else for these guys. These ones are one of the most commonly, they have alternating black and cream colored or yellow and orange colored bands on their legs. So it could be black and cream like this. And it can be black and yellow with the orange in the bottom. And this one, I don't know if this one's a little bit more difficult to see, but it is orange and black. These are larger than the silver Argiopes and smaller than the black and yellow Argiopes. These ones are kind of in the middle between the two. So they are also a decent size. They'll pretty much take a little part of your hand right here. So they're decent size as well. The next one is the CatFace Orb Weaver. Can you guys see if you can spot the cat face on this guy? Do you see a cat face? If you could tell me where it is. Yes, good job, Jen. That's on the app. Yep, good job, Stacey. It's right here. It's on the abdomen. So this has a very uncanny similarities to a cat face. There actually is just no reason. There's not really a particular reason why it's a cat face. It's just for us. The spider is an angulate spider, meaning that it has 2 pronounced bumps on the back of its abdomen, right here and here. and that is what creates these cat ears. The face of the abdomen is created by it. These two bumps, they can form the ears, and then you can see the patterns here for the face. You can see the two eyes and the little nose. Some of them are quite pale, as you can see here. This guy is a little bit more pale on the abdomen side, and then some of them are really rich tan color like this. They're as large as the black and yellow Argio. It could be a coyote face too. Yeah, you're right. It could be any kind of face that has those pointy ears. It could be like a normal dog face as well, but it's called the cat face spider. So these guys can be as large as the yellow and black Argio, meaning that they can get pretty big. You can see here its leg span goes around about 2 inches here with its leg span. This is actually one of the smaller ones. You can see a pretty decent sized CatFace Orb Weaver. The next is the Spiny Orb Weaver. This one particularly is one of my favorites. The Spiny Orb Weavers have a broad, hardened abdomen that can be white, orange, or yellow, and they have red markings or black markings. The females are brightly colored with 6 spines on their broad, hardened shells. So they'll all have 6. They sometimes are called the crab spider because of their shape and hard shell, but these are nothing close to the true crab spiders. They're completely different. The legs and venter and carapace are normally black. As you can see, they're normally black. This one is not. This one has red legs, and that means that this one's a juvenile. So when it's a juvenile, their legs will be a little bit more transparent. As they adult and grow older, it'll turn black. These guys are on the smaller side, as you can see here. They're only a few centimeters in length, body-wise, and their legs are not that long. So their legs are pretty small compared to their abdomen and typical thorax. So these guys are on the smaller side. You won't really find a really big Spiny Orb Weaver. The next is the Marble Orb Weaver. They have a unique marbling pattern of colors on their abdomen, right here. They have an orange head and upper legs with black and white banded lower legs. So this is black and white here and black and white here. You can kind of see the black and white coming in. This one is a good depiction of a more juvenile Orb Weaver. As you can see, some of his legs are still a little bit translucent. Some individuals may have an orange and yellow abdomen, while others have a black and yellow abdomen or white and black. So the abdomen can change. See, this guy is more like orange and brown abdomen, and this one's more of a yellow black abdomen. Those ones can change, but the marbling pattern is most of the time the same. The spider species is the most common spider species you're going to find in Orange County. So 9 out of 10 times, these are the guys that you will see in your garden. They do a nice job of guarding your house, which is why it's nice to have them around. They are not interested in people and are actually rarely seen indoors. And their size can be pretty decent size. They're kind of like the cat-faced Orb Weaver and the black and yellow Argio. This one is, again, this is your typical size. They do run a little bit bigger or smaller, depending on its genes and where it's living. But this is the typical size you will see in your garden. And he's just crawling on this guy like no problem. No problems in the world. So what are some ways you think that spiders can help us as humans? Again, you guys can unmute yourselves. You can put it in the chat. Yep, they eat bugs. That's one of their major ways that they can help. So thank you. They protect our gardens. Exactly. You actually just put in the intro to our next one right here. They help save our gardens. As you can see, other insects and other bugs do like our greens that we work so hard on to make pretty. These creatures often capture these other insects that damage these gardens or our crops even, making the spiders very beneficial to us. They eat these smaller insects. They eat anything smaller than them. So anything that flies into their web that is smaller than they are, they will eat. They can be typically a little bit bigger, but it can't be big enough to where it's going to harm them. So if you're talking a small Spiny Orb Weaver, that's only a few centimeters, they could still eat one of the bigger mosquitoes or the bigger moths, but it won't be able to eat a wasp. So they eat flies, beetles, wasps, anything that's smaller than them, depending on their sizes. And they also eat twice its weight in insects every single day. And that might not seem a lot for a little bug that doesn't weigh much, but it is a lot when there's a lot of these insects in our gardens, right? So if you have multiple black and yellow Argios in your garden, so say you have 3 of them and all of them eat twice their weight every single day, that's twice that many insects that it's protecting your garden with. Do they eat other spiders? No, they typically do not eat other spiders. These guys, other spiders don't normally bother them in their webs. If another spider got snared in their webs, I can see that, but it's not a common trait you would see in these guys. They're docile to other spiders as well. They're docile to us humans and to everything else except their food. So the ways that we can protect these guys, because they are beneficial to us, is peppermint oil treatments or any other natural ways to ward them off. So if you find that you don't like them in a certain spot or you don't like them around, you can put peppermint oil or other herb natural treatments and spray the house around, and they don't like the smell, so they'll just leave. And it works very well with these guys because they have a good sense of smell. Oddly enough, even though, because that's the sensory organs. The pedipalps are the ones that can smell. It's not really a sense of smell like us humans. Now, if left alone, they'll never approach you. So if you're okay with an orb weaver being in your garden, as long as you know it's not dangerous, which hopefully you know now, they're not dangerous, just leave them alone. They won't hurt, they won't come to you, they won't approach your house. They're pretty much introverted, and if left alone, they'll leave you alone. Another way is to pass the word along. Let your loved ones know about these orb weavers. Let your friends and family know that they are beneficial spiders and they won't harm people in any way. They're not poisonous to you or dogs or pets or anything else. And we can also just move her. And I say her because you're not going to find a male out in your gardens. You might find one, but it's very rare. They're very small and hidden. So the ones that you find, the big scary ones, are all female. So you could just pick her up with a cup, your hand, even if you're brave enough, because they're not going to bite you, but you could just pick them up and move them away. These spiders are very smart, and they don't like threat. So when they see you picking them up, they won't come back. They'll stay wherever you leave her, wherever you leave her, they'll find a new home around that area, and that's it. They won't come back to the original one. So please remember that these ones are one of the most docile spider species out there. They do not bite at all. It's very rare to get a bite from an orb weaver. And so you could just approach them, respect them, and admire them because they are they are beautiful. They are brightly colored. They're like a little ornament to your garden. This one here is an example of a spiny orb weaver. A different type of spiny orb weaver because it has a different shape in the abdomen, but it's a spiny one as well. And the most important thing is that they help us out a lot by controlling our insects in our gardens and around our homes. And you can look at them as a little pet. Go outside, say hi to them every day, admire them in a respectful distance, and they won't harm you. They're like a little ornament to your garden. So thank you for joining us here at this presentation. Now is the time that we can discuss. If you guys have any questions about any of the spiders that we discussed or anything else in general that relates to spiders, I'd be open to hear them. Do you have any orb weaver? Do any orb weavers have venom? Now, every orb weaver has venom, but that is not poisonous to our pets and us. These venoms are strictly meant for the insects that they consume. And the insects they consume are much smaller than they are. They can consume a little bit bigger, but other than that, the venom that they have doesn't harm us in any way. It's less than a bee sting for us.
Danna, is there places that they could learn more about this particular spider or spiders in general?
So yes, I can post that here. There are a lot of places you can look at. They have the National Geographic website. They do have a lot on orb weavers. There's also a few other websites that I can post.
Awesome.
Where are the CatFace Orb Weavers and Spiny Orb Weavers found? All around Orange County. So all of these species that we spoke about today are all around Orange County. You can find the Spiny Orb Weavers and CatFace here in Orange County, around the coast, and in the parks that we go to, and even in our gardens.
I noticed on the one, I don't remember its name, the one with the kind of the round body, it almost looked like the design on its abdomen was almost like hieroglyphic. So, it felt very, I don't know, it was really cool looking.
Yeah, that's the marbled Orb Weaver. So the marbled Orb Weaver has that marbly look that kind of looks like separate images because it's all marbled around. It's pretty cool. I've actually seen one of those recently.
Yeah, I was going to say, how often, I know I have spiders in my yard, but honestly, I'm not sure that any of them have been orb weavers, but I don't know that I've looked close enough. How often have you felt like you've seen them, in your yard or when you've been out and about?
That's a good question. I actually see orb weavers all the time. All the time. When I go to work, I actually have a friend in Fullerton that I let them know that those are orb weavers as well. We see them in our gardens as well. They're very abundant. There's so many of them. We only discussed 6, but there are multiple species of orb weavers. And the big giveaway is their webs. That's the biggest giveaway. So if you see that their webs are circular, it's an orb weaver.
Cool. Maybe we should challenge this group to, now that we know a little bit more, to go out and check their yards and stuff. And if you guys see an orb weaver in your yard, take a picture and tag OC Habitats in your social media, whatever it is. Just tag, hashtag OCH or hashtag OCH spiders. We'd love to see, because I'm going to do that now. I'm going to go to my yard and check out, see if I can identify any. And as you said, they're going to be mostly females, right? Because the males are smaller and they hide. Do the males hide more, or is it just that they're smaller?
They're just a lot smaller. So they don't hide more per se, but their webs are super small just because they're super small. So for you to even find their webs, they're really small. The likelihood of you finding a small one is not high.
So the web, we saw one last week, you and I, and we believe that was a male, right? And its web was really small. It was smaller than our hand.
Yes.
And
that was a male.
Yeah, he was tiny. Cool.
And a lot of people don't see that because they're so small. They just walk right by it. It doesn't shine. It's not as big, so they won't find them very often.
So we invite all of you guys to unmute if you want to continue the discussion. I know that one of the things that Danna mentioned was the different eco-friendly ways of keeping spiders away from your home. And she mentioned peppermint oil, and many bugs of all kinds do not like smelly stuff. So it could, if you don't love peppermint oil, if that's not your thing, any strong scented oil will work. I know that, in my home, we have a real ant problem. So we try to keep the ants out of the house. However, I have no issue with them living outside. So we do a peppermint oil treatment around the perimeter of the house. And it seems to be working because we don't have any ants. So, it doesn't have to be peppermint oil. It can certainly be different things. And it doesn't hurt them. It just deters them. So that's what I like about it is, we used to have a termite, or not termite, but a Terminex type group coming out, and they were killing everything in my yard. And I was like, no, that's not why I want you here. I only want you to keep them out of my house. I really want them to have their home outside. Because one, I just think they have value in and of themselves, but also they are valuable to the environment, to us, as Danna said. Danna, I have another question, and hopefully we'll get some other people to ask some questions here too. But one question I have for you is, how quickly do the spiders consume their prey? So if someone gets caught in their web, one I wanted to ask, because you said something about if they're too big, they'll let them go. But if they're in the web, how do they get away if they're in the web?
So when they're in their webs and it's too big for them, either they just wait till they struggle to let them and they get out because they're that big, or there's 2 other options. They wait until it's too stuck and they just kind of deconstruct their web around it and let it fall, or they deconstruct their web around it fast enough where they fall while they're still not struggling as much. Now this depends on how big it is, because there are some things, like if it's 3 feet in diameter of the web and a bird gets caught in it, they're not going to approach the bird. They'll just wait for either the bird to get loose itself or pretty much stop moving.
Okay, that's interesting. And then how long, when they do decide that it is edible for them, how long does it take them to get in there and eat it?
So it takes them a few seconds to get to it and wrap it up. The eating process takes a little bit longer because they do have to inject their digestive fluids and wait for them to kind of liquefy before they slurp them up. But it depends on how big it is and how hungry the spider is. Sometimes the spider will keep it wrapped up and wait until it is hungry, and then it'll come and eat it. But the digestive fluids take a few minutes.
Okay. And then you were mentioning about, I was going to ask if they were territorial, and you said that they're pretty docile towards other spiders. Are they territorial with each other?
They normally leave each other alone. So if a spider sees that there's another orb weaver web there, they will kind of won't approach that section. They'll just go to the other side and make their own web. And they just hang out together, really. They don't really care as long as they're not too close, which that you don't normally find them too close. So it's not really a thing. They understand that that's too close.
Right. Okay.
And Jenna's asked, what is their average lifespan? So this kind of depends on the size of the spider. The Spiny Orb Weaver will live for a few months. They don't live very long. But the golden or the yellow and black Argio can live a few years. So they can live to be 6 to 7 years. And a fun fact, actually, the black and yellow Argio is also in other countries. And in other countries like Australia, they grow big enough to eat birds. Same species, different habitat.
Wow.
Is there a way to tell how old they are? So other than their legs, you can tell how juvenile they are. When they're younger, their legs are more translucent, so you can tell that they're younger there. And when they're old, their legs kind of pale out a little bit more, but there's no exact way to tell their exact age. It's just an estimation of that one's a little bit on the senior side, that one's the mature adult, and then that one's the juvenile, based on the coloring of their legs.
When the baby spiders come out of their egg or little pouch, I'm assuming they're self-sufficient, right? They're not relying, the parent does not feed the baby spiders or anything like that, correct?
Yes, correct. They are self-sufficient. Once they come out of the webs, they are ready to go explore the world.
Okay, awesome. And do they just, when they are hatched, and I'm saying hatched, that might not be the right word, but do they just all go every which way? I mean, like, I said, we're talking about the territorial thing, or do they tend to stay in the same area, or will they travel far to get to a new location?
They sometimes will travel far. It depends on the spider. Believe it or not, they all have different personalities like we do. So some of them might be a little lazier and they don't want to go far from the original spot, and they'll find a spot nearby. And some of them are very adventurous and they will travel a good amount of distance.
Interesting. Cool.
How big can an orb weaver get in America? An orb weaver can get to be around 3 to 4 inches body length. So they can be as big as your palm here in America. You can find them, that's just their body. And remember, their appendages are about 1.5, sometimes double their body size. So their legs will go out just as much.
Danna, do we know anybody that's ever tried to keep any kind of orb weaver as a pet, like a true pet, where they had them in an aquarium or something like that?
I have never met anybody. Anybody that I've ever talked to were pretty much scared of them because, honestly, a lot of people don't know that they don't bite and that they don't approach. You can handle them. Like I showed that little picture of the marble orb weaver. You can handle them. And even though they might be a little scared, their first intuition is not to bite. So I haven't really met anybody who had them as a pet or known anybody who's tried the actual pet, because a lot of them are scared. How fast do they move? Now that depends. I don't know the exact speed for some of them, but it depends on their size. The smaller ones move faster than the bigger ones do, but the bigger ones move pretty quickly as well, especially when the prey is ensnared. I don't know the exact speed though.
So my question to this group is, how many of you guys are going to go out and look, and how many of you guys would be willing to let that spider onto your hand? So if you're willing to do that, just type yes in the chat. If you're not, say no way. I'm just curious, like if I might do it as long as I'm sure that it's the right one.
Yeah, honestly, so for me personally, before I knew about orb weavers, I was terrified of spiders, and there are still some spiders out there I will not touch. But once I actually learned about it, did my research on it, there have been times at work where I just grabbed it and moved it, and it was perfectly fine. And I think, like, she would have died. They would have killed her. They were calling someone to go ahead and squish her. I'm like, no, she's not harmful. Picked her up, put her down, and I'm still here today. So without a bite.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. Okay, I love spiders, but I won't let them on my hand, Jenna says.
It's that first initial fear.
I look for them, but not touch them. Okay.
And that's great too, just to respect because they are beautiful. So to respect their space is a good thing as well.
Well, yeah, that's another thing is, even though I'm asking you if you would do it, the other side of it is we really shouldn't handle wildlife, right? Because they don't really want us to approach them. So the only time we really should handle them is when we are moving them to a safer spot or something. It shouldn't just be to play with them because they aren't toys, right? So. Does anyone else have any questions of Danna? She's very, very well informed on this species. So I'm sure if you guys had more questions, she probably will have some answers for you.
I would love to answer them.
And you guys have all been quiet. You're fantastic in the chat, but you are welcome to unmute if you feel comfortable doing so. And we can even turn off this if you want to have everybody's face come on here, Danna, unless someone wants to see one of the past slides.
Is everyone okay if I shut the slides down?
So if they have that many eyes, do we know anything about how they manage their eyesight? Because obviously, are they getting a 360 view, or why do they have so many eyes on some of them?
So a lot of times you'll have the two big ones there and then the others on top. And this is just to get, like you said, just a more view around their web. That way, when they do get that little tingle, they know exactly where it is, but they also like to see it. And it's also for predators. So if there is something that's big, because believe it or not, in other countries, the wasp, they have a lot bigger species of wasp, and that can be a predator for them. So anything that flies over their head that's a predator, it gives them enough view to see so they can get off their web in time.
You have to wonder, we sometimes think humans are so advanced, and then when we have an animal that has 6 eyes, their brain has to be pretty advanced to handle the information that's coming in from that many appendages, right? It's like that's kind of a big deal, I think. So
yeah.
All right. Does anyone have any more questions? You guys have been really a great audience. So we're happy that we have a few more minutes if you guys want to continue to discuss, or we can call it a day. And we will be posting this on our website. So if you want to look back at it for reference, or you would like to share, you have a friend or family member that would be interested in seeing it, it'll be on our website in about a week. It usually takes us that long to edit out any of the little glitches and stuff. Danna, did you say you had some links that you were going to put in the chat for the groups?
So the links that I have for Orb Weavers here, I'm going to go ahead and bring them up to you in just a moment. But I would like to say, if you guys are adventurous and you want to go look up Orb Weavers, to look at sites that are made either from government or universities, or .org sites, because those ones are the ones that have the etymologists, and you will learn a lot more with those links.
That's good advice, right? We want to get accurate information from, so that we're being educated correctly. We're not getting, people's myths or, opinions. We're actually getting facts. So that's good.
All right, so I'm having one here.
So we'll stay on for a few more minutes while she posts those links. And then we thank you very much for coming, and we hope that you come again. We usually have one of these once a month on different topics, depending on what's going on in the world or what's going on with us. We are OC Habitats. We're a local nonprofit in Orange County where we work on protection, restoration of habitats and species. So we work on the coastal dunes, which are the beaches. We do a lot of surveys out there. We do restoration in both salt marshes and riparian habitats currently, and we do education and outreach in a variety of ways to the public, to students, in all different formats, virtual, in person. So if you ever are interested in volunteering with us or joining us just for an event, or becoming a more active crew member or an intern like Danna, you can reach us at ochabits.org. I'll put our email in here too. So if you ever want to find out more about us, or like I said, you can go to our website.
All right, I have one more for you guys. One more link, and then we'll be good to go. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was a nice crowd. I hope you guys learned a lot. I hope you guys get more adventurous and just kind of point it out and let your friends know, because I think that's the most important thing you can do, is just talk about it and let people know.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you guys so much. And you high school Students that are here, like I said, we do have internships. We usually only take one high school senior a year. And we do have one right now. But I don't know what year you guys are in, but next year we don't have anyone set up yet. So anyway, we will hope to see you again at one of our events. If not, we're here, then maybe our restoration. Have a lovely weekend. Be safe out there with Halloween if you're celebrating that. And we hope to see you guys soon. Thanks so much.
Enjoy the rest of your day, you guys. Thank you.
Bye.